Yes, good morning, dear viewers. This is Saturday, the 21st of February. And as we promised you, we'll be here to do a short presentation on the topic of residency requirement for any elected official in the BLM. And this is a very important topic that we want to bring to you why any elected official need to be a resident of the constituency for so many reasons that we'll be able to bring them to you, dear viewers. And before we actually start this presentation, there's just quick announcement that concern the bank people. The Dr. Joe Fotuchan, who is the head of the Road Infrastructure Committee, is inviting all the bank people tomorrow for a town hall meeting that is scheduled to take place at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. Cameroon time. Again, the time is 1 p.m. US Standard Time and 7 p.m. Cameroon time. So all the bank stakeholders are invited to attend that important Zoom meeting. And lastly, announcement is that the Kudu USA, in partnership with the Folklore Movement, will be holding a medical health campaign at the Mary Head of Africa Hospital from March 11 to March 13. That should be next month. By this, we want to bring you to our presentation, and I'm happy to introduce Professor Emon Falafak, an oncology, but of course, he has done a lot of philanthropy work in management, in community, especially in Africa. So we were here last time discussing on some of these key pertinent issues that has caused stagnation of development or recovery process in the BLM. The reason why any elected official should be a resident at home or in the constituency. Anyone aspiring to become a politician or any form of elected representative, being it a parliamentarian, being it a mayor, or being it a councillor, should be a resident of the constituency. And we will dive into those discussions in order to really present to you uh, why we think it is important that people should be resident at home and to understand the challenges that people face as well. Uh, Dr. Emon, you are welcome. I'm confused between Dr. Emon and Professor Emon, whichever it is. Uh, at least you've listened. I mean, we had this conversation of stagnation, development, lack of accountability on the side of the politician, in the side of the leadership in general. And one of the reasons that would seem to be geared towards is that there's a vacuum in leadership in the BLM. Then if you go to different funding or different subdivision, you see that it is the same. The policies, most of the offices in Meiji that are supposed to be headed by maybe government appointees are not there. Even those that are elected at the council, none of them is there. Then everything is just tend to be in chaos. And we think that this is the root of some of the problem that we are actually facing right now in the BLM division. That take. Yeah, Dr. Emo, over to you.
Yeah, good morning, Ernest, and good morning, dear viewers. And Ernest, I know people like so many titles, but for me, please, whatever suits you, call it.
Okay.
My professional title would be still a medical doctor. And
Mhm.
so when you say doctor, you are really not um, out of it, and that's actually what we prefer. It's my academic title that would be the professor, but as you know, again, I think the if we really who cares about the title? I mean, what's important is my relationship, and that I know that you're addressing me. That's all that naming and it's actually meant for. That said, I think the point, the problem, I mean, the topic of conversation today It's really, really, really fundamental to development. It's fundamental to governance. Um, as you say, I mean, there is just no way that you can represent a people whose problems you don't understand, that you don't know, that you don't have the lived experience of those people. It's just not possible. Now, what I tell you, say, if you the in our context, in the context of the lived experience of our people in the southern Cameroons specifically, um, or and then the Graphiland, probably, by extension. You have, and Lebialem in particular, as we delve into it, um, you have leaders, and in these leaders, you can divide them into two broad categories. You have the political leadership and you have the traditional leadership. Now, there are other auxiliary forms, either the elites and then the intellectual class. But what concerns us today is leadership within the traditional and the political leadership, because these are the two institutions, these are the two people sets of people who control the resources that our people depend on, for their daily existence and subsistence. Now, um, and so these two groups of people, if really we are serious as the people to really like move and develop to the next level, then these two groups of people must reside in and amongst the people, the lead. There is no way that you would know, a leader would know, that the people don't have water if that same person is not using the same, fetching water from the same type, from the same taps, from the same streams, from the same springs. There is no way that a leader would appreciate the dire state of the people's roads if that person actually does not ply those roads, doesn't depend on those roads for their own daily lives. There is no way that that leader would know that the people don't have, that the hospitals are not adequately staffed, or they are not adequately funded if they don't actually depend on those same hospitals for their own medical care. And so the idea that a leader would live somewhere else outside the constituency they are representing is just an anathema. That is called, to me, it's almost the same way that they treat them, the way that a lot of people would treat their farmhouses, right? Like,
Yes, yeah, correct.
this is to them a farmhouse. The BLM has become a farm, and they are so important that they cannot actually even live in the bush. And so they go and build their policies or wherever in Yaoundé or in whatever city that's that they like. And then and these people, the savages that they are leading, where they can only go there, to extract their gold, to extract the resources, to feed their voracious appetite. Actually, they leave them to their own devices to rule. I mean, tell me, I was with you the last time, and at some point, or maybe they were talking about a over the last several years, I cannot actually remember the length of the duration of time. There've been about one point something billion CFA that was
Hmm.
calculated to have actually been able to have actually been invested in within Lebialem or support.
Yes, it was 1.5. I think for Fontaine subdivision
Yeah.
alone, I think it was 1.5 billion
Okay.
for
So
2000 for 2025. That
does
means that is
Lebialem?
entire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does Lebialem? Does Fontaine subdivision? You have your ears on the ground. You are the media guy, right? I haven't been there for a while, but from what I see on media, from what I hear the people, from the plight of the people, does that place look like 100 million has been invested in the past 10 years?
Not at
That
all.
look like?
No, not at all.
So where do you think, where did that money go to? Why do you think that money sunk into those, disappeared into all these rabbit holes? Because there are no chiefs in the palaces, right? There is no there are no mayors in the city houses, right? There
Yeah.
are no parliamentarians in the house, in the representatives of the people's office or house. So even if there is a problem, who would actually be able to hold all these cameras if the people themselves, who are actually supposed to be the leaders, i.e., the mayor, the funds, and the parliamentarian,
Yeah.
if all of these people themselves are not part of the scheme, then they must be, the must actually, if we charge them, if Lebialem charges them for neglect of their responsibility, of their
Ability.
ethical duty, then they will be guilty as charged. Okay?
Yes,
So
and Dr. Emo, let me, yeah, I think one of our panelists, Mr. Tom Bekong, is here. I wanted to share an image here so that we all look at that. It's a short clip, so that you look at the state of the city of Menji. These are not very old footages, especially the bridge. Let me try to see if I can bring it here. But before then, let me bring Mr. Bekong into the platform here. Um, so, Mr. Bacon, you are welcome. We already started the conversation. But Dr. Emon, let me see if let me try to position these images where in such a way that we can all look at it and okay, like right here, if you look at this image is playing here. Let me pause here. The image I'm showing here on the screen. This is in the heart of Menji. This picture you see here was taken, I think, about a week ago. This is the bridge that crosses Befua. This is the bridge that is located in Befua, the village within the Minji municipality, at the heart of the divisional headquarters of Minji. If you leave Terikona in Ver, and you take the other road, which is a little bit parallel to River Bege, then you cross it as you want to go to Kalisko Minji. This is where you found this bridge. This is the same bridge where Mr. Charles Nkwisi
died.
died. Probably, maybe it was a cancer worker or whatever that fell on this bridge midnight, somewhere at midnight, and died, and his body was discovered under here. This is the state of the bridge in the capital city. And when I spoke to the mayor, according to the story, 500,000 was allocated for the council engineer or workers to go do it. They needed to go saw a timber from Nchenele or whatever happened. They went there. The tree had a hole on it in the middle. They could not do it. Or they now say, oh, that they cannot use that tree again any longer. But according to the mayor version of the story, he has instructed that they should go to Chang and buy timber that is already saw from the sawmill and come and do repair on the bridge. But you see, the issue, I think what I'm driving to is that I think I even asked the assistant deputy mayor. What I'm driving to is that you see the mayor who is at the helm of the council. If this is happening in Menji, you give money and give instructions somewhere because you yourself you are not even there to monitor the work. Even the senior divisional officer for the BLM, by his own word, said it that sometimes water get cut off because the mayor is not there. They don't even know what is happening. He said it right plain and clear on front of camera. That was on the 30th of December, 2 months ago. I mean, I'm not making up this story. The images are there, the words are there on the media to see. I think this is where we are really driving to say there is lack of leadership in our own area. People cannot stay elsewhere and govern the local community. I think that is where the decentralization law in Cameroon even came to place, that they should push the government, that the local authority should be resident there. Dr. Emma, and to further double down on it, the reason why you see the 1.5 billion that we'll be talking for the 2025 budget is always sent through council. All project, you see, even if it is the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Health, Public Investment, Housing, or whatever, all project, all the money is passed, sent through the council. So that the council, which is supposed to be responsible for rural development of that particular community, but if those managing those money are not there, the reason why you were echoing that, where is the money gone to? Because 80% of that money is not spent in the local economy. The contractor are not there. The contractor are not even resident. The workers are not even resident in the place. You come in today and you leave tomorrow. Tell me, how can you effectively manage in that area? I
So
will want to take, yeah, everybody, Dr. Emo, 2 minutes. Let's talk on this a little bit.
so let me first say good morning to Bratom. Uh, yeah, and then yeah,
Yeah,
and
my pleasure. Yes, thank you so much. I came in a little bit late because I was held up by some unavoidable circumstances. So I'm very thankful to Dr. Kumba and you guys, for coming together this morning so that we can, make some headway in analyzing and trying to find solutions to the problem that our people are facing back home.
so Ernest, let's go back again. I mean,
Yes,
the that's and as we were saying, you know, one of the biggest challenges facing our people at a very fundamental level is that our people have this set of so-called laws that they themselves don't even understand. The people charged with implementation don't even understand. The people charged with leading the people don't understand their rules. There was once a time in our people, amongst our people in the BLM, in where everybody who was a leader of that community was actually resident in Lebialem. I remember when I was a student in grammar school, the late Fonju was my teacher, was my history teacher. He ran for the position of the parliamentarian
parliamentarian.
and won. Why there in why he was there in teaching in grammar school? Of course, the mayor was always there anyway. Of course, the palace was always there, even when the fund was a student. The fund would regularly come home, and the palace was a functional place. But currently, at this point, when you go back and you see that the mayor is away, the fund is away, the parliamentarian is away, and you actually then don't have, then there is no, it's not, you don't need the knowledge of Einstein to tell you why our place has fallen into such disrepair. And like I say, the person who is actually there, the people who need the water, the mayor doesn't depend on that same water. The mayor doesn't pass on this route. The mayor doesn't probably even the chiefs in Menji themselves. Probably, I'm not even sure where they are because nobody really who is the leader. Look at that place. You would actually really maybe say it's actually thanks to God that only one person's life was lost in that place. So the taps are dry, the hospitals are empty, the schools have, our schools right now are desolate. I look the hospital in Azi at actually itself. But it's also a very big. It's like a forest, and when you will only hear the amount of money that has been sent there, for rehabilitation of these places, and you ask yourself, are there any people who are in leadership looking at these places day in, day out, who can actually report to the people. The problem is, yes, the people are, as I keep saying, that our own people are using, the leaders are using this Lebialem now only as their farmhouses. So to them, this is where they go and harvest their crops. To them, this is where they go and harvest their money. If you are talking about the contractors, yes, the contractors may actually stay outside. That is fine. We don't have all the we don't have all the expertise to do the work. We may not have all the expertise, but the people who are the leaders actually who should be there so they can know when the contractors are not doing the right work. Do you remember the last time that you had the parliamentarian, on? And what did the parliamentarian say? The parliamentarian feigned ignorance of the fact that this money has actually disappeared in rabbit holes. And when somebody accosted him and he said, "Oh, this is not really my job, it is the job of whatever." So everybody has somebody to blame. But you are not there to actually talk to the people, see these problems for yourself, and really be able to guide the people, even if it is not your job to be able to audit the project. At
Yeah.
least you as a parliamentarian would have been able, if you were passing on these routes, if you had every time, if you were off the taps and the taps were dry, if you were going into the hospitals and the hospitals were empty, no medicines, no nurses, no doctors, not everything. If you were going to the schools and the schools were bushes, you would at least be able to say, no, there is something wrong here. And when the people tell you, you would be able to point them in the right direction and wherever their plight need to be heard. So the real problem that we have is that problem of the people, the so-called leaders. And I would prefer to call most of our people, refer to them now like rulers, because they see themselves not as leaders, but as rulers. And
And
in the same way,
yes,
the same analogy that somebody sees their farmhouse and then they
uh,
go to the bush, you
and
know.
Dr. Emo, and especially, you see, I will even double down, especially on those elected, because these are the people that they come into the election, and this is where the masses have so much authority. It's like somebody say during the voting season, your vote is like an AK-47 or a machine gun of a military person. In the sense that your vote, you can decide who will govern you for the next 5 to 7 years or how many years their term of office is. And this is where we really want the audience to be able to understand that their vote matters, that they should register and vote, irrespective of whatever party, but vote for somebody who can truly represent you. But let me get your point.
Yes, thank you so very much. I think the most important thing that we have to address here is this alarming sense of impunity that our leaders seem to have. And the reason is clear because you will notice that during the primaries, the the electorate can choose their own candidate, and the other candidate decides to run up to Yaoundé or to wherever the headquarters of the party is and meet the bosses there, and eventually they change the person who won the primary and replace him with someone who did not win. This is so important. Once the person comes in, believing that he has been put by those from on top, from the central committee of his party, they don't owe any allegiance to anybody. They do not owe any allegiance. They continue to do what they like because they know that they cannot be removed. Because especially in our political system, where the head of the list can change at any time, it depends on the goodwill of the people at the central committee, maybe, for example, of the CPDM. You are aware of what happened I think, in the South, where a candidate was replaced by someone who was not chosen by the people. That is where they think that they can do anything and get away with it. But like you said a while ago, I'm so happy that you've mentioned that point. Elections are coming, and the voters have their trump card. Their vote must be seen to speak. because politics is not going to die at the prison. No, it shouldn't die at the prison. I know it is dead at the central committee of the various political parties because there's no democracy. But the voters, we are encouraging our people to go out there and register their names and vote. You have the right to choose the person who is going to lead you, especially the mayor. The mayor is the host of the city. He is in charge of everything, fixing water points, putting up head units, filling potholes on the streets. But if he doesn't live in Menzi, if he doesn't live there, he's not going to feel the pain. So it is very important that everybody goes out now, put your name on the electoral register, and get ready to vote. Those results will be declared on the spot. It's not like the parliamentary elections or the presidential elections where there are a lot of hurdles on the way, counting commissions from division to the region and up to Yaoundé. So it is so important that our people use their vote this time because we have been deceived time and time again. Our politicians don't care. They don't have a sense of duty, of leadership. No, this is not their job. This is not their job. I think it's so important that we encourage people to go out there and vote and use the vote as their weapon. That's the only power that I think they have now.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Mr. Tom. I think you really hammer on it at some point. But I think the other point that is that the central committee of a political party, say CPDM or whatever party, they can choose their candidate and maybe. But I think this is more of kind of a local election where if the voter they vote and stay there at the polling station, like what we saw happening in November or during the presidential election. The other thing with the presidential election was that the later and they have to send those results to the Constitutional Council in Yaoundé where they have to change whatever figure, whatever they were doing. But if something has to stay at the local level, where the party or where the people have to stay there, the representative, the crowd have to stay there, the young generation have to stay there, take images, videos, and say, this is who we have voted for. There's nothing you can do. Right here, the duo should declare it here and there, and it should end there.
I think, Ernest, that was what I was going to. That was part of the what I was going to develop
Mhm.
to say. Ratom, I don't pretend to know the political structure of Cameroon because I think it's more complex to me than anything that I have ever studied in my life. And the only reason is because you know things change things change at the whims or caprice of any individual somewhere, right? We just saw the election of the presidential election in the Lebialem, and we know from every indication from the even from amongst the young men who were there representing the CPDM that the opposition candidate Chiroma won by landslide in the place. But then, by the time they went up to Chang, the same people who are supposed to be their leaders, who actually know the plight of our people, they were the same people who sat there and then changed the results and switch it over. And there was some metamorphosis that happened, and we saw the number of people who apparently voted in the BLM were actually even more than the people who reside in the BLM right now. And so you can you so the, but the Ernest, as we're saying, my understanding is if it is true that the local elections, that these now elections, the parliamentary elections and the mayoral elections especially, are different, that the elections will be declared there and then, right? So this
Yeah.
idea of party affiliation, remember, what is the difference to a sheep between a wolf and a tiger? All right, they will see eat you. So the idea that somebody tells me that, oh, I'm wedded to a CPDM or to this party, who tells you that those people care? But you have that vote, and that vote is the vote that the whether it's an independent candidate or whether somebody doesn't even affiliate to a party, I don't. You get that person, and the only one requirement that you need to know for
Yeah.
now is number one: does this person reside amongst
Thank
us?
you. Yeah.
That
Yes.
does this person have the same my lived experiences? If the taps in Menji are dry, would this person feel the same pain? If the roads from Chang to Menji are bad, replete with potholes, landslides, and everything. Would this person actually have to go through the same places to get their own supply like me? Even if they have a vehicle, if the roads are bad, their vehicle will still not pass daily, and therefore they will be forced to confront and fix those roads. If they are sick and have a headache or a fever or whatever, would they go and use the same hospital facilities that I used? These are the questions, the fundamental issues that you need to ask yourself. If the answer to this is no, then that person to you, if you are the sheep, that person is a wolf or a tiger, and which either one that you chose amongst them would devour you. It doesn't matter. That person has to at least, and if you find two people, more than one, who actually reside there, then you have the next fundamental question. What can this person do to, what can either of these people do to me? What is their track record for what they have been able to contribute to do to me? I mean, too often people would come and deceive you and tell you about, oh, maybe big titles, academic titles, and stuff like that. Who told you that you need a doctorate to be able to be a mayor or a parliamentarian? You don't need it. You don't even need a first degree. And I argue you don't even need an A level.
And Dr.
With
Emo,
this
and that is the point.
On the issue of residency, I think
yeah,
you raised a very important point because you have to live with the people to be able to know the kind of problems that they're facing. And the law says that you have to prove your residency, and you have also to prove that you are registered on the electoral list uh, of the district that you are seeking elections for. This is so important. And at the nomination process, people should be very careful not to nominate somebody who has not been able to show that he can care for you. The work of a mayor is that of retail politics. They do what we call retail politics because they can move from door to door. They are with the people every day, listening to their problems, addressing them, giving quick solutions to the one that they can, and taking the others ahead. So it is so important. Let's take, for example, 9/11 here in the United States. The mayor of New York was so well known only after 9/11. He became the face of that incident because he worked so hard to make sure that people's lives were safe, those lives that could be saved were saved, and that the flames that were engulfing the buildings were put out. I mean, Robert Giuliani became so important. I mean, everybody knew him, but New York had a governor. So the mayor is the host. If President Paul Biya were to visit the BLM today, the first person to deliver a speech would be the mayor because that is his city. That is the city. But this position should not only be ceremonial position. You should be able to show the people that you are a good steward, that you are a good servant. Democracy should not serve itself. It should serve the people. Anybody who wants to lead will have to show the example. You have to stay with the people. You cannot come from outside all the time and pretend that you know the problem that your people are going through. No, you don't know them. You haven't stayed there at all. There's no way they can get you. There's no way they can judge you unless you live with them. So I know there was a time we had MPs who live outside, they come once in a while, like now. But I mean, it's very embarrassing. Everybody should. An MP has, I mean, the excuse that somebody can say that, well, that's not my job, it's not my duty. No, once you are an MP for a BLM, you have to oversee everything that happens there. That is why you were elected in the first place, because you came from the BLM. So you have to oversee whatever thing is happening. The projects, you cannot say that no, it's the mayor. Pastor. No, that is your job. That is your job. That's what every MP should do. We know that it's here in the US. You see, MPs from New York, if something happens in New York, Congress people from New York, you see them taking the front. I mean, they are front and center all the time. If there is, like, say, a storm or there's a disaster, you see, oh, they they are there giving press conferences, coming back to Washington and lobbying with their colleagues what to be done. So
Yes.
the fact that somebody can come home and say, well, it's not you, you want to shift blame, that is not my responsibility. It
Uh, I
is
think,
your responsibility.
yes, I think, Mr. Tom, I think Dr. Emon touched on one point that I wanted us to talk a little bit and clarify our masses, because one of the goal here is for us to educate our masses. Dr. Emon, you were talking about the academic ladder that people seem to brainwash or to deceive or to give a false perception to the local population who are mostly farmers that will be casting this vote. Mr. Tom, you were a journalist, CRTV, you interview some of the people in Boya. I just wanted to share experience like dealing with, I think, with mayors that climbed that, I think was mayor, I've forgotten the name, somebody that did not have university level, but was the mayor in an urban council like Boya. Not to talk of Minji, even though, yes, they have all kind of faculty division and the rest. Because, Dr. Emo, because it's very important. Because the notion has been that, I'm glad that you brought up that point, because the insinuation or the talk around the air has been that, oh, we need people that are educated, that can navigate Yaoundé. Then maybe what I don't know what I navigate. I don't understand what they mean by navigate Yaoundé. If you take somebody from home, may not be able to know the way about and stuff like that. And this is the
No,
kind of
yeah, that's right.
deception.
Yeah, I think you are right. When I was with Cameroon Tribune, I worked with a lot of people. I interviewed a lot of young men. Some of them rose from nothing to become mayors in Boya, and some of them are now in the Senate without a college degree. I guess they don't have a college degree, but they have an amazing sense of leadership. The most important thing here, our people like to say, "Oh, if you don't have it," I like the fact that Dr. Emon has stressed that very significantly. You don't have to have a ton of college degrees in order to lead people. All you need is the backbone and the courage to do that, and the willingness to serve. That is all that we need. And the idea that no, only a specific group of people can lead because they know where to go in Yaoundé. I lived in Yaoundé for 10 years. And I learned firsthand that some of these people that we talk about they don't even have the courage to knock at the door of any office to ask for something. Yeah, and our people, Francophones taught us one thing. When they said that during when appointments are about to happen in the ministries, people go and see the directors and said, "Oh, I want to be nominated to this position. I want to." And I told them, I said, "Really?" They said, "Yes." They said, "Here, that is what you do. If you don't knock at the door, nobody is going to know that you are serious. No one will know that you have a concern." So our people think that I know a lot of them in Yaoundé. Oh no, I don't want to be seen as begging or stooping and doing it. They don't do that. They just come and deceive us at this level. I know a lot of politicians. Some of them who used to come to the province and attend ceremonies and then they leave before the end of those ceremonies. Oh, I'm rushing to Yaoundé. I'm rushing to Yaoundé. There's nothing that they are going to do in Yaoundé. They just want to give the impression that where they are so big, they have a lot to do in Yaoundé. No, you don't have to go to college to lead people. You have to have somebody like even leadership is not about. I know that some good level of education might help those people who are really good leaders, who are really interested in serving the people. If you have acquired some kind of education, oh, that's good. It helps. But that shouldn't be a prerequisite for leadership.
No,
So
because
let me,
I said this, Dr. Emo, I said this because,
Ernest,
yes,
let me get let's go back to this issue. Um, I think it's Socrates who said, if an education hasn't transformed you from inside out, then that education is useless.
yeah.
It's worthless. Most of the time, and let me tell you, I use the analogy of a flashlight. And I want to make this so that our people can really understand where I'm coming from and what the principles are. At night, if you have the flashlight and there are three of you or four of you, and all of us must have shared this experience when we were when in our younger days when we were back in Fontaine with no electricity. The person who had the flashlight may stay in front, but if that person holds the flashlight in a certain way, everybody would be able to see the route, right? But that person could decide and hold the flashlight in the way that only he or she would see the road,
Yeah.
right? Like just
Yeah.
pointing it. In
Yeah.
fact, if you point it really down, the people will say, no, 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 no. People who are used to say, no, no, point the flashlight ahead so that the people from behind can also see. And some people could even decide to blind you with a flashlight if they flash it in your eyes, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
our education, the so-called educated people, and I'm saying so-called because I want to distinguish, these are typically people who have gone to the Western style education schools, acquire lots of certificates, and compound this with education. They use the flashlight like at best, like the person pointing it down just to see only their own footpath alone, and they don't care about the people they are leading at the back. Or at worst, some of them would even flash it in your eyes to blind you. The true person who is educated would use that flashlight with the knowledge and say, okay, we have one touch. I'm holding it. I'm going to point it in the way that you people, the crowd from the people from the back can see. And so when we talk about education, let us distinguish what kind of education we're talking about. And the great fella essentially sang a song called Teacher, in which he said, Teacher, teach me nonsense. This idea of a quote unquote democracy that we have inherited from the West, where we say we take institutions that every 4 years in Cameroon, every 5 or 7 years, or whatever the case may be, now can be 10 years. The head of state usually just need to have a dream and then get up one day and then say, this is how long it would take for to vote. And people go and say, we are voting. Our people need to ask themselves the question, what does that really do for us, and what does it really mean for us? Who should we vote? The educated person is the person who knows your problem, who lives with you with that, who have your lived experiences. That is the person who is educated about your problem. That educated person is the problem who has the ethical compass, who has the moral compass, who has had who has shown you over with their little actions that they can be trusted with a collective
Hmm.
property, with collective ownership. That is an educated person who understands the difference between communal interest and self-interest. That is the educated person. At least for that knowledge. Me
And
and
I
you
think,
can be educated in many things, but we can be very ignorant in the other things. And
yeah,
so,
and Dr. M, and you really point it well, because you see somebody will come and say, oh, I did a presentation, a project of maybe 2.5 million. It was awarded, they gave a grant of this. You talk big talk. Then the question you ask yourself is, you do all this project, you projected a budget 1.5. What do you do with it? It's better, in my opinion, you get somebody who can even manage 1.5 million or 1 million or 500,000 and make it decision that will affect people, than to hear of this big figure where the money doesn't even go to the grassroots. So I think our people are listening to this, and I think it is very clear now that this idea of, it's a deception that they are giving to people about education. I'm a professor, I've done this, calling big names, or I've traveled to this, I did this presentation, I presented a project here, I was awarded this, of which you come back, you ask yourself, what do you really do with those projects? There's nothing to show off. It's
no,
better you have people on the ground that will not even travel internationally and maybe go present those big projects that you're talking of, which will not even mean anything to your daily life at home. I think you put it well.
and I just wanted to bring back again. Bratom is actually, all of us here. you're from a Z Mankem area, right?
Yeah,
Pratom actually, in addition to his work, actually work within the traditional leadership. That's the Fun's
yeah,
Palace,
yeah,
right? You were there.
yeah,
And so, Pratom, was there even, let's take Labang, for instance, where you
yeah,
work. Was there ever a time in the council, even when, was there ever a time, since our traditional, our palace has the executive branch, the legislative branch, and the
yeah,
judicial branch, right?
yeah,
Our own
yeah,
palace. This is the construct. This is how the institution of
yeah,
the chieftaincy of the palace,
yeah, yes.
um, is subdivided. And within those, was there ever a time when they were developed, when they were discussing the issues of NJA, and somebody from Minji will be representing JA?
Uh, Not to my knowledge, I cannot remember any such time where
Yes.
someone from, yes, from a different quarter would come and represent and tell about it. Yes, no,
Even
not to my
though,
knowledge.
why does
Yeah,
that? Why was that? Because you cannot be representing a people you don't know, a place where you don't live in, right?
exactly my word. Yeah,
Somebody from JE who lived in Limbe could not suddenly come from Limbe and represent JE.
no, absolutely not.
You couldn't. That is education. That is the knowledge of the contextual education about
That we're
what
talking
is going
here.
to
Thank
happen.
you, Dr.
Okay.
Emon.
And
Please.
Dr. Emma, let me ask. So you just asked a very important question. Well, when we were the composition of the Lebang Traditional Council took into account what you've just said. In, representatives were taken from the Lebang was carved out in small sections. Bindia and parts of Lekong, they gave one person to represent their interests at the council. They went to Gens, brought people, yeah, somebody to represent that area. From Belua, so and they represented those areas. If there was anything about NJA or something, that person would be the first person to inform the council, and then the council will take it from there. So that representation is so important. And you said it very well. You cannot represent people whom you don't know, with whom you have not lived. When you have lived with people, you can feel for them. You know their issues, you know their problems, you know what they are going through. You cannot stay somewhere else where there is constant electricity supply, pipe-borne water flows regularly, and then you come and represent people who don't have healthcare services, who don't have water supply, who don't have electricity, and you don't feel for them. You haven't lived through those things. It's what is happening now in Cameroon. And like I said, if the electoral system doesn't change for now, then we're in for real problems because the mayors, the parliamentarians, they think that, oh, well, I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you anything because at any time the party can decide who is going for how long I'm going to be there. Elections can be postponed indefinitely. Yet, just when you think that it's about time to vote them out, where elections are postponed for one more year. So and they perpetuate these crimes because they have this amazing sense of impunity that nobody can punish them. They are not accountable to the people. But I think our people, like we say, the time is coming when they can no longer be the same. You when caterpillars are brought to Lebialem, people should first ask the question, because if a road has to be built, the first thing you want to see is that the constructing company comes and set up their offices. They will build an office somewhere. If you don't see that, and someone brings two, three caterpillars or graders and say that, oh, the government, they want to, build a Chang Fontaine Bakaba Road, do not be deceived. Do not be deceived. You have to see those contractors on the spot, the engineers, constructing first where their offices will be. When you have not seen that, do not say that something is going to happen. Because I know that very soon caterpillars are going to come to the BLM and they'll be talking about this, the
No,
Fontaine,
they have come and gone already.
yeah, the Chang Fontaine Road.
No,
In 30 years, in
Mr.
30
Tom,
years,
let's put it on record. Let's put it on record here.
Yeah, let me just say something. I started hearing about it when President Hijo was still alive and in power. And when President Paul Biya came to power, his first visit to Boy in 1983, I think, or I thought I heard him say something about the Fontem, I mean the Chang Fontem Bakebe Road. We're talking of 40 something years now. And every election cycle, we have seen caterpillars come to Fontem and they tell us that where the government is about to build the Chang Fontem Bakebe Road all the time. So I don't know for how long this is going to continue to happen. So our people, their eyes are open now. The social media has come. They know what is happening in other countries. They see the developmental projects that have taken place in countries smaller than us, in districts which are too tiny, but there's a lot of development going on because they have good leadership. The people are determined. They have some teeth. They show teeth. They are able to speak out.
No,
And
yes, I was just wanted to put on record that the 1 billion franc CFA Chang Minji Bakaba Highway Arrow 19, as reportedly, the first money or the first check or the first whatever functional credit was 500 million. That money was spent in the half part of 2025. We're 2026. The other
Okay.
half part has come where they started, we call it leveling the road from around Alo. That thing has ended around City of Izon. So what you are saying, that 1 billion franc is gone. So there are no more caterpillar coming. I'm glad that you bring out this point. I remember when I was in Boya when they were tiring the road. I think Musonga was the prime minister at that time when there was this company called Rased. They wanted to tar from my 17 to Boya town. The first thing is they come and set up like something like 10 or like kind of temporary offices so that the worker will stay there, so that they will come and park their machinery or do whatever thing they have to do there. That really show that because a budget of 1 billion is not small money, Dr. Emon. That you come there, this is not the kind of work that you can just in there, you come and stay here in 3 days and do it. They bring this chain food, you just come and pass on the surface in less than how many days and gone. And that is what has happened to Changminji. The part of the Bakaba from Minji down has not even been done.
Ernest, please give me a little bit of time. I want to refocus us. There are things we can do, and there are things that are not possible at this point, right?
Mhm.
And the reason, yes, all this money that disappears into loopholes, they are the consequences, they are the effect of the fundamental problem that we're talking about, right? And the fundamental problem being the disconnect between the leadership and the people and the led. Okay?
Yeah,
This is why it is sacrosanct, it is fundamental that we drive home this point.
yeah.
I just wanted again to actually, I wanted to piggyback on the things I was talking about. So our people just appreciate where their true problems are coming from. Bratoma, I'll come back as I was talking about, you know,
Yeah,
um, the representation.
yes,
The council.
traditional nutrition.
When our people, if somebody came from India and say that, oh, there was, and gave an account of things in India that the council thought this may not be real, right? Or this may not reflect the truth. What
Yeah,
did they do? Somebody, they will send a group to them to go and verify, right?
yeah,
They
yes,
will go and
yes,
verify.
yes. The council did that. Yes,
And if they went back and then they came back and there still was a problem, the fund himself,
yeah. The fund himself will visit the area.
no, that is a
Mm,
final authority,
mm.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
this can only happen because all of these people, the council leader is living in the place in which they are supposed to represent. The authority, the graded authority, right up to the final, who are responsible for this, are living they can be able to visit these places to verify for themselves at the moment noticed, right? So
Yeah.
there's no such thing like I did not know. Ignorance was never an excuse
No.
because these people, okay, in our traditional leadership, we do not elect funds, we do not elect chiefs and things like that.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we agree. But there was never, but our leadership had a way of punishing those chiefs, including the fund. If the fund were to start acting in ways that were antithetical to the ways of the people, to what if they went out of their own authority to act against the people's will, there were inbuilt mechanisms. And
Yeah,
the reason
sure.
I'm saying this is that our people now have a vote in there for the political leadership. At least they have the election, they have the ability to be able to elect. And
Yes.
so take back that same mindset. I mean, that's those same principles from where our leadership that served our people right for so long emanated. None of these people actually had an education. Many of them never even could read and write,
Mm.
but they were trusted. They were true leaders. They were true leaders. So if you go and you want, I see even within the Council of Menji, my understanding is that yes, they have all this nonsense where they say, oh, they are like representatives of the different council in council representatives of Menji.
Mm.
But it turned out that even these councillors were not living in the places, in the villages in which they were that they were meant
Representing.
to be representing. Is that not true?
It's
So we
quite
could
true.
have a representative of the council of Njensa living in Boya or in Chang or somewhere else in Yaoundé. The representative, that is the councillor who is supposed to be representing these people, is living somewhere else, and the mayor is living somewhere else, and the parliamentarian lives somewhere else. And for 23 years that we've had a parliamentarian in that place, I'm actually asking you, maybe he's from Leban, he's from Lebialem. If you ask him the number of villages that he has visited, it'll probably be a tiny little fraction. He doesn't even know the problem of these people.
Mm.
And if somebody had a problem, and if somebody knew somebody who embezzled, or somebody who said, oh, they say somebody heard from Jensen that there was 1 million or 2 million or 10 million that was allocated for a hospital that was never built or a road that was never built, and they wanted to go to the parliamentarian. How did they find the parliamentarian? Pay transport to go to Menji and then to go to Yaoundé
Mm.
and
To
then
go
go and
to,
fill certificates, to actually talk to this person. Is that what should happen? How do you see the mayor? Remember, so this is the fundamental reason why our people must say, and they must make it very, very clear to
Yes,
everybody.
crystal clear.
It is first crystal clear. Number one, you must live amongst us. Number two, and so we must have access to you. And number two, that the office you occupy is not your property. It's the house of the people. And the people must have access to their house. And if they cannot see you, our people must be able to say, we will replace you and we will disown you. And that has to be as easy and as fundamental as that. I don't think that the Americans will say never waste a crisis. What has befallen us with many people who are dead, with many people, our village is now like a shell of its once vibrant self. No schools, no hospitals, nothing. It's like an abandoned place. The only way our people must go back and ask ourselves is, as we now continuously now, as from now on, as we are able to get out of this, hopefully we get out of this war and get out of this crisis. What are the true lessons when we get on the other side? As Americans say, never waste a crisis. Are we going to go back to the same things that brought us the war in the first place? That is the
and
fundamental question that our people should ask themselves and say, yes, your political rules, your political laws may be what they are, but we are the people who are led, and we must ask and demand, and must now, not tomorrow. And now they must start now. It must start with you actually knowing who to vote for and not voting for somebody because that person is brings you a few boxes of Maggi and a few loaves of bread and soup, and then they are laughing all the way and smiling all the way as they go back. That is not. It's the question is: are they addressing? Are they who is going to address your fundamental problems that you have? And that is the
And
message I wanted to actually drive home about this.
yes, doctor. And let me just say that one of the issues that our people have to know, and they may have to address this issue at the at the voting board, is the issue of conflict of interest in the council, because it looks like most contracts that were given out went to council members, and, and so how can the mayor effectively monitor compliance if his colleagues are the ones who won the contracts? So
And do you
it's
know where those contracts? Do you
yeah,
know
it's
where
very
those contracts were awarded, Uncle Braton?
no, not before you have told me. Yes,
Yeah, because if the mayor lives in Yaoundé and
yeah,
all those councillors live out of Lebialem, it means the contracts were actually negotiated out of Lebialem.
it's
True or
true.
false?
Yes, they did, and it's really having a negative impact on the execution of the projects. We all have seen that these projects have been abandoned when, of course, the contractors are taking all the money.
No,
And
no, no,
we need to
I
take
think yes,
care.
I think that's one of the bigger problem of this lack of residency, because we've been talking about how would, because just think about it, just basic social interaction economically. I mean, money exchanging hand for local businesses, those that are buying, those that are selling food. If the money is coming in through the council, that is supposed to be the people to disperse this money to the community. I mean, in the evening, if you have a friend, you go say sit somewhere in a small restaurant and buy food and eat. That money goes to that lady who is selling food. But if you live elsewhere in town, the government pump all this money in. Either you embezzle it or whatever you are doing, you are spending that money elsewhere. That money is not even being spent in the local economy, and that's where we have been saying that this has really caused a lot of stagnation. And I think, as we've been discussing here, residency should be number one thing. And I think the masses should take home this message that whoever is coming to run for election should first of all be a resident. I don't care whether which party you belong, even the party they put you on top of the list and bring you in. If the voters say no, we don't even know you. Who are you? We don't even vote for you in the first place. Yes, I don't think that party will be able to put you there because first of all, you were not even voted. There's just
And,
no way they can do it.
and there's one last thing before we move on. I mean, that we do that, we should not
Mhm.
forget.
Yes.
Um, Bangla people have been mayors in the Mamfi, in Moyoka, in Kumba, right, and elsewhere. So, but those Bangla people who were mayors in this place did not reside in the BLM, right? They
Yeah.
resided in these places. They showed their residency in those places, that they were living in the places, and so they had as we would say in America, a dog in the fight. That means that they had they had stakes in to represent their people, to develop the community in which they represent. So the point I'm trying to make here is you don't even need to be a Bangwa man to be the mayor of Menji.
No,
You don't need to be a Bangwa man to be the representative, to be the what do you call it, the parliamentarian
Hmm.
of from the BLM. If I rather you are a Bayangi man, a man from or maybe from Boya or from wherever, who has settled in the BLM, you are there, build there, constructed there, live with the people, and show the people that you are one of them when it comes to the issues that matter
Yeah.
in their daily life. That's what we should be thinking about. That's what we should be doing. So that is who you should be electing. And really, again, listen, the BLM is now a division. And we have a lot of high schools, right? A lot of now we have a divisional hospital, we have divisional this, that, and so on and so forth. And very soon we'll be having university institutes. And it's so idea that somebody would tell me that they are not even if we were going back to the paper certificates, the last time I checked, one of the principals the grammar school, one of the former, our alma mater, one of the former principals there was a PhD holder, right? So if we have people there with master's degree, with first degree, with whatever, so even if you want to go back to your white man or maybe our academic certificate, there are people there residing there who have those certificates. So there is no excuse whatsoever for having anybody there who to lead the people without being a member or without residing there, without, and it's not the residing as I just come and on the eve of election I go and get an address. No, that person must be part of that place, so that if that person is embezzling, he is living with you, and you people are going to be holding him accountable day by day. That person is interacting with you and living the same problems that you people are living with. So talk to everybody in the Lebialem who is going to be voting and saying this is fundamental rule number one. It should be as easy as as true as day follows night, that this should be the fundamental rule on which our people should judge the candidates first.
Yes, dear viewer, we want to thank you so much, Dr. Emma. Thank you, Mr. Tom, for joining us today, this morning, at least to really air on this, dear viewer. On our next episode, we will be presenting or we will be discussing on the manifesto. Any candidate aspiring to either run for the parliamentarian or the mayor, they need to present their manifesto. And Dr. Emma, and before I say this, our last listing will be focusing on ghost worker, those that are taking salary from the government, civil servant that have abandoned their posts and are elsewhere receiving salary, and they need to come back. And we will be discussing on that, because you cannot be a nurse and you abandon all this health center, all the hospital in the area, and you live somewhere and you are collecting, they call them tax credit, running credit, salary, and all one not, but yet you are not there. So it is high time people take responsibility and do the honorable thing to their place. So again, we want to thank you so much for staying tuned with us. Until then, we'll see you again next week, or anytime when we'll see that it fits our program. We'll come here and we'll present to you what you really need to know when it comes to the development of the PLM. Again, I'm Ernest Kumba, and thank our panelists, Dr. Emon Forefe and Mr. Tombekong, for being with me this morning time. I wish you all a happy weekend.